Hi, folks. Just a little video here to kind of wrap up the election season. Some final comments, and then we can just forget about this thing for a while. I'm sad to hear that many people will not be voting in this election who voted in the last election. Seems they're disappointed that change didn't happen fast enough. Things aren't that much different than they were 4 years ago, and so they've just given up and decided to go back to their video games. That's a great formula for creating a revolution. I wonder how that'll work out. Um, Unfortunately, in this election, everybody has been focused on the economy, and the truth is that is actually the one aspect of this of running a country that the president probably has the least control over. We are in the clutches of economic forces way beyond the realm of a single nation state. The whole world is, the economic system that we have lived under for the last 70 years is collapsing worldwide. There has never been a system based on fiat money, which is money that's just printed, not backed up by anything, that hasn't ended up in collapse, hyperinflation, and disaster. And we are now in that downward spiral headed for that very eventuality. And I really don't think there's much any president, either Romney or Obama, can do about it. The fact is that worldwide we have simply borrowed more money than we can ever repay. All these loans were based on, they were based on a real asset like a piece of land or a house or your ability to make a payments because of your job. But the amount of debt that, those assets have been asked to support is way beyond what it can actually support. It's like the same asset has been used as collateral in one loan after another. And when the person who is responsible for that debt finally can't make the minimum payment, and all the creditors go to collect their asset that was used as collateral, they're going to find out that there are 10 other people in line for them ahead of them, trying to repossess that house, trying to repossess that car, trying to repossess that gold or whatever. We thought we were rich. We had all this stuff around us, and we didn't stop to think that the only reason we had all that stuff was because we had borrowed money to get it. And now we can't make those minimum payments anymore, and all that stuff is going to go away. And all those factories that were making all that stuff are going to close. And people are going to lose their jobs, and so there's going to be less money to go around to pay loans, and so on and so forth, and around we go. From an economic point of view, the choice between the Democrats and the Republicans is, do you want a slow, controlled collapse, kind of easing that old car down the mountain on a narrow road, a lot of switch turns and back and forth, careful driving? Or do you want to vote Republican and just drive the car right off the cliff at 60 miles an hour and hope for the best when it lands at the bottom? As far as the economy goes, those people who aren't voting are probably right. Who cares? Doesn't matter. You'd be better off spending your time stockpiling food, buying a shotgun. If you got some money, put it into silver coins as fast as you can. Hunker down and hope for the best. The real issues, the issues that a president can influence one way or another, are issues of how our society is to be run. Are we going to create an egalitarian, just, forward-looking society? Or are we going to let the Republicans drag us back into the good old days of huge wealth disparity, privileges for a few, poverty for the rest, superstition, ignorance, racism, sexism, and misery. A comment I often get from more right-wingers on my videos is that I must be a failure in life. Only a failure would complain about the weak are meat and the strong do eat vision that the Republicans have for America. The truth is, I'm better off than most of the people in America, but it would be kind of boorish of me to list all of my blessings. And what the hell does it matter anyway? America is supposed to be a democracy. A democracy is supposed to represent the will of the majority of people. In a democracy, the government should represent the interests of the majority of people. And the majority of the people are average people. They have average intelligence, they make average wages, they have an average number of sicknesses and mental illness and drug problems and alcohol problems. And it's perfectly acceptable that the government should provide services to these people because the government represents these people. If these people do not have health care, it's the government's job to provide it. If these people do not have made no provision for retirement, it's the government's job to make provision for that as well. What the Republicans are trying to create is a government whose policies will serve only the extraordinary, only the very rich, the very talented, the very fast, the very clever, and leave everybody else to fend for themselves as best they can. They had a system like this in France back in the 1700s. It was called the monarchy. There was an aristocracy, a small aristocracy that owned everything. They had all the power, they had all the privilege, they had all the comfort. And one day a messenger came to the queen and said, "The people are starving, they have no bread." And in probably a very smug, smirky, Republican sort of way, she said, "Well then, let them eat cake." Well, to her surprise, a couple months later, a mob of hungry takers, leeches, victims, carted her off and cut off her smug, job-providing head. Serves her right. To tell you the truth, maybe that's what we need in this country. To remind the talented, the rich, the powerful, that they don't exist in a world all by themselves. They exist in a world with other people. And they owe those other people a certain amount of consideration. A few days ago on the street, I heard a woman say, "Obama, he just doesn't believe in the American dream." Honestly, I was floored. I didn't know I was speechless. It just, you never can overestimate conservatives' delusional states. The things they say are so bizarre. You know, how can you be prepared for them? Somehow she's got it into her head that Mitt Romney, a rich man, a rich white man, the son of another rich white man, a guy who has had every privilege and special treatment and chance in life handed to him on a silver platter, essentially. Somehow he represents the American dream. He's going to protect the American dream. Where Obama, a guy who is half black, half white, grew up in a lower middle class home, got where he is today by hard work, intelligence, and just force of will. Somehow he doesn't represent the American dream. And all I can say to her is, she's full of shit. Obama not believing in the American dream? Obama is the American dream. He's the personification of the American dream. And Mitt Romney is some kind of little Lord Fauntleroy. Maybe that would fly in England or France, where they're used to having an aristocracy. But it's got nothing to do with America. There's a guy at work. He's old. He's disabled. He's living on welfare in a rent-subsidized apartment. Every day he makes a point of coming over to me and telling me that Obama is the worst president we've had since since Jimmy Carter. He's exactly the kind of person that if Mitt Romney is elected, will be thrown under the bus. And yet, he's so addled by the right-wing propaganda that he is willing to shoot himself in the foot because he hates Obama so much. And as for who was the worst president, well, Mr. Bush, the last Bush there, he got us into 2 wars, one of which was absolutely unnecessary, cost billions of dollars, most of which ended up in the pockets of his friends at Halliburton and Bechtel. Bush, who botched the Katrina hurricane disaster relief, probably was responsible for killing a couple hundred Americans with his incompetence over that. Bush, the guy who put his friends in charge of regulating the oil industry and allowed BP to turn the Gulf of Mexico into a toxic waste dump. And then just to, put a cherry on the top of the pile of shit that he had created, oversaw the complete collapse of the world economy as a little going away present. I tell you, it's pretty hard. It'd be pretty hard to do worse than a record like that. I would say that Obama, he hasn't gotten us into a nuclear war with anybody. So I think he's already done better than Mr. Bush. And frankly, I would rather have 4 years of, I'd rather have another Carter administration than even another 10 minutes of the Bush administration. Hey, but for those of you who are interested in who might be the worst president ever, don't give up hope. Just stay at home, play your video games, and maybe Mitt Romney will get elected president, and then we can find out just how fast an inveterate liar and narcissistic sociopath can turn this country into a third world power. So it's going to be a wild ride. Hold on to your hats. Hunker down. Be safe. Thanks for letting me get this off your chest. My chest. Get this off my chest. Thanks for watching. Bye.